This is QuickSync. No, not the ship, but the thing that just blew the ship to bits. It is a single bomb that can send entire warships to the ocean floor in seconds, and Iran just built the perfect target for it. In February 2025, Iran unveiled its first ever drone carrier, a massive warship designed to challenge US dominance in the Arabian Gulf. But what if this ambitious move is a colossal mistake? Because the US has been quietly developing a weapon so powerful, so precise, that Iran's newest flagship might not even last a day at sea. Contrary to popular belief, warships can take a lot of punishment before actually sinking. For example, the last time the US Navy fought a fleet action was during a one-day battle against Iran in the 1980s. During this fight, multiple Iranian ships ate numerous bombs and missiles dropped and fired from US planes and warships, yet still did not sink despite being outdated. So to prevent this scenario from happening again, with even more robust warships, the US Air Force created a secret weapon, QuickSync. While the name is an officially recognized pun, what it can do is no laughing matter. But how can a single bomb sink a ship like this? It all starts with the base. As for now, the Air Force has been exclusively working on modifying the standard Mark 84 general-purpose 2,000-pound bomb. The Mark 84 has been the go-to air-to-ground ordnance for the U.S. military for decades. However, it was initially built without a GPS guidance system. After the advent of GPS for the military in the 80s, the U.S. began making smart weapons. But what exactly makes a weapon smart? Since, spoiler alert, it's not how well the bomb did in its 9th grade algebra class. Rather, the smart munition moniker applies to any ordnance with a GPS guidance system. For the Mark 84 bombs, this comes in the form of what are called Joint Direct Attack Munition, or JDAM kits. These guidance systems, like the one seen here, are attached to the dumb Mark 84 bombs that convert them into smart bombs. These new JDAMs are then capable of pinpoint accuracy regardless of wind speed, airspeed, or distance thanks to the kit's integrated maneuvering system that guides the bomb towards a GPS coordinate. But while this works great for stationary targets, this is not the case with warships. Because ships, by their nature, are always moving in a naval battle. Since being stationary would equate to a virtual death sentence, dropping bombs on a moving target is difficult. While the U.S. has evolved JDAM technology to include ground and air-based laser systems, this has some drawbacks. Firstly, the person pointing the laser has to expose themselves to enemy fire until the bomb hits the target. Secondly, there is a human error factor along with environmental factors like thick smoke that can block laser signals. Because of this, the U.S. military didn't have a way to destroy ships with precision bombs until the creation of the Weapon Open Systems Architecture, or WOSA Seeker. The WOSA Seeker is the secret sauce that turns the JDAM into a quicksync. Here's how it works. Back at a U.S. airbase, ground personnel attach the JDAM kits and the WOSA Seekers to a dumb Mark 84 bomb. As this is all going on, Navy P-8 Poseidon aircraft are trying to find the target vessel. They can do this through visual, electronic, and electromagnetic means. Once the target is fixed, say that because the U.S. knows what radars are on the ship, the P-8 relays this information to the Air Force, which then vectors a fighter to the last known position of the ship. As the fighter closes the last known position, the pilot is scanning for any signs of the enemy vessel. Once sighted, the pilot drops the quicksync and peels away to safety. This is where the WOSA Seeker comes into play. As the quicksync heads towards the last known waypoint of the ship, the Seeker activates and begins sending out radar pings looking for the ship. After sighting it, the Seeker sends orders to the JDAM kit on how to guide the bomb towards the target. And this is where it gets really interesting. While the bomb may penetrate the deck or destroy critical topside systems like antenna and radars, this would not sink the ship. To sink a ship, the explosive needs to blow a massive hole below the ship's waterline. If this happens, not only will there be a massive hole that will soon flood with water, but the ship will actually lift up and come back down on itself. This motion will break the keel, or the backbone of the ship, so that it essentially breaks in two, which is exactly what happened in this test demonstration. As you can see right before the detonation, the quicksync actually maneuvers itself to the side of the ship to blow up beneath the waterline and cause this catastrophic explosion. This ability to aim for the weak points is what turns this from a standard J-dam into a ship terminator. And just like in the movie, Iran's newest megaship doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell against the quicksync. In a ceremony at the Iranian naval station of Bandar Abbas in February 2025, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps just unveiled a ship they believe can knock the US Navy out of the Arabian Gulf. Built on the hull of a 3,280 TEU Iranian container ship, the Shahid Bagheri is the first aircraft carrier the Iranians have ever made and the first of its kind in the world. Originally 788 feet long and just over 105 feet wide, the Iranians spent the past 2 years converting this cargo ship into their Navy's flagship. As part of this conversion process, the Iranians widened the beam to 151 feet to accommodate 8 two-story aircraft hangars below deck, aircraft and weapons elevators across the ship, and 4 mobile aircraft hangars. However, this aircraft carrier is unlike any other carrier in service by any navy in the world. While the Iranians are not launching manned fixed-wing fighter aircraft, they are launching a variety of helicopters. Although we don't know the exact number and models, but based on publicly released footage, we can see that the carrier can fit at least 4 helicopters. These include the Mi-17, the Bell 412, and the Shahid 278 helicopters. These aircraft can carry out a variety of sea combat, reconnaissance, and logistics roles. However, if you're paying attention to the flight deck of the Shahid Bagheri, you will see a sloped 591-foot-long flight deck, complete with a ski jump at the end. Helicopters do not need this to take off and land, so what the heck are they putting there? Because Iran lacks the planes, people, money, and know-how to create and operate conventional aircraft carriers, Iran has opted for an asymmetric model that is the first of its kind. While countries like Japan have so-called helicopter carriers, this ship's main armament is drones, and a whole lot of them. According to the Iranians and their propaganda videos, the vessel has the capacity for 60 drones. Of the drones seen in their publicly released media reports, observers have noted models that include the Ababil 3, the Mohajer 6, and the advanced Koher 313 stealth drones. But that's not the only thing the ship can do. Looking at either side of the ship, you might notice these large metal doors. If you're wondering what those are for, they're not for launching drones. While they might be useful for taking stores and ammunition while in port, their primary purpose is actually to launch small boats. Iran claims that the ship has both port and starboard cranes that swing out of these metal doors to deploy a small flotilla of fast attack craft. All told, Iran claims the drone carrier can deploy up to 30 Ashura and Tarek-class boats through these side doors. These vessels are incredibly fast, reaching speeds up to 90 and 46 knots respectively. Additionally, they're heavily armed with 12.7mm machine guns, 107mm multiple rocket launchers, and other anti-ship weapons with ranges out of 180 kilometers. And while this might be believable, there are some claims about the ship that are flat-out lies. For example, the ship displaces just over 41,000 tons and has a top speed of roughly 22 knots and a cruising speed of about 18 knots. This all jives with what a typical merchant ship can do, so there's no surprise there. However, the Iranians claim that the ship can sustain itself at sea for a year without any refueling or resupply. This is an outright fabrication, since even US aircraft carriers can have as many as a few months of food, parts, and supplies on board. Additionally, since the ship has a diesel propulsion plant, it must refuel at least once every few weeks. However, being a commercial cargo ship, It doesn't have the capability to replenish fuel while underway and must pull into port to refuel. The Iranians may have installed replenishment at sea capabilities on this ship, but this is doubtful, since this would require completely overhauling the ship's engineering plant, which they likely did not do, and the ship does not have the space to carry a year's worth of fuel. Despite these dubious endurance claims, the Shahid Ghaheri is definitely a giant leap forward in Iranian naval technology. However, QuickSync makes Iran take a giant step backward. So, what does this weapon's implementation mean for control of the Arabian Gulf? The first and most obvious reason is money. Currently, the weapon of choice for taking out surface ships is the Mark 48 heavyweight torpedo. However, despite being very good at its job, it comes at a hefty price. At an eye-popping $4.2 million per shot, this weapon is very expensive and in short supply around the military. The QuickSync does the same thing at a fraction of the cost, at around $3,000 for the bomb, $27,000 for the JDAM kit, and $200,000 for the WOSA Seeker. The whole thing costs just $230,000. However, BAE, the weapons manufacturer, hopes to get the WOSA Seeker cost to about $50,000 in the future. But even at current costs, this means the Navy could have sunk almost 20 ships for the price of one torpedo. But cost is not the only major factor. It is also the scale and the range. According to most publicly available sources, even the best submarine sonars can detect targets out to around 120 miles. However, airplanes with their radars can detect ships at ranges of several magnitudes greater thanks to data sharing. Additionally, submarines are limited in both number and torpedoes. The military would have just one way to sneakily take out enemy warships at one submarine per carrier strike group with 4 torpedoes in its tubes and 21 more on storage racks. This all changes with plans being able to take out ships with QuickSync. For example, the standard US carrier wing can have up to 44 F-18s and 10 F-35s. If all of these planes are loaded down to the max with 2,000-pound bombs, this means an area carrier wing could potentially launch enough aircraft to destroy 192 enemy ships at once. And this is just for the Navy. The Air Force maintains dozens of forward-deployed fighter aircraft at bases throughout the Middle East, including major bases in Qatar and Iraq that could also contribute to this fight. Additionally, the Air Force maintains a fleet of 20 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. These bombers can penetrate any skies anywhere in the world, and they can carry 16 2,000-pound bombs each. With the entire Iranian Navy operating 39 surface combatants, including the Shahid Ghaheri, this means that the U.S. military, at its current forward-deployed levels in the Middle East, has the capability to destroy the entire Iranian Navy 6 times over and still have some bombs left. Do you think Iran has anything that could counter such a potent weapon? Bye for now.